Great morning. What's up, you guys? So excited. It's going down. We got officially Triple M Monday morning motivation. And you know it's the Monday after Thanksgiving. Food is still digesting out of your system. I know you had a great weekend, and now it's time to get back into it. And what better way than with Monday morning motivation? Fired up, amped up. Toby's fired up and amped up. Let's get it, Toby. Let's take it to the next level. You see the face. He's ready. So we got a great video for you guys today. Rob and Sharma is going to be giving you 6 rituals for enormously successful humans. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be, then I suggest you listen in, take your notes. Welcome to the call, you guys. Enormously Successful Humans, 6 rituals they do by Rob and Sharma. He's going to be breaking it down. Take out your notebooks. We're excited to hear from you guys when you finish up. And without further ado, let's get my man Rob Sharma on.
I'm going to take my golf cart through the jungle. And when we get to the beach, got some great information and insights, creating an epic life for you. So, let me start with the golf cart here, and we'll go down to the beach together. So, this is the Seychelles. An absolutely exquisite place. Some of the most incredible wildlife and vegetation in the world. This series of islands in the Indian Ocean. Where I'm taking you is ever so special. You're going to love this. Almost there, we're getting closer, you can see. Hence, Victoria. I'm not the best golf cart bug driver, so our journey together down to this spectacular beach is a little rough. Please forgive me. But the beauty will be worth it for sure. And what I'm going to share with you in terms of how do you rewire your mindset, how do you create explosive productivity, and how do you create a life that makes history, which is really my great prayer for you. You know, I mean, we all, if we play small with our lives, we do a disservice to ourselves and our potential. We do a disservice to our families. We do a disservice to the world. Oh, we're almost here. Can you believe the color of that water? I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to take you right down. It's, speaking of the word epic. All right, so welcome to one of the most beautiful beaches on planet Earth. So like I was saying, I mean, playing small with our potential is a disservice to yourself, your family, the world. And why do we do it? Like, why do we play small? It's because the world has sold us this bill of goods. Psychologists call it implicit theories. Most of our choices are subconscious. 10% is conscious. 90% of what we do, or most of what we do, is because all the subconscious programming. I mean, all the ideas and all the things people have told us about our potential, about who we are in the world, what we can achieve. The whole idea that, geniuses are different, which has been debunked by science. Genius is pretty much, 10% talent, 90% discipline. I mean, genius is a lot more about practice and dedication and grit and persistence versus being born into something special. I mean, the first 10 years of Mozart's composing of music, his work was just mere curiosity. It took 10 years before the first signs of his genius presented himself. So you study Beckham or Jay-Z or Warren Buffett or Picasso or Mozart or Van Gogh or J.K. Rowling. All of the so-called geniuses were ordinary people who had a great idea and a spectacular vision. And they just followed it through day by day until the world saw them because they pursued their craft and because of their effort. You practice anything long enough with enough dedication, you're going to get to world class. So anyway, psychologists call these implicit theories. They're subconscious, but these implicit theories really govern our behavior. And once you start to, get to do some introspection and start thinking about your thinking and thinking about your beliefs and thinking about your behavior, then in that awareness, you can begin your transformation. So let's keep on going down to the beach. Well, we're just about here at Victoria, one of the most beautiful beaches on planet Earth, down here in the Seychelles. And tell me, is it worth it? Well, my goal is to share ideas with you right now here on this beach that will be game changers for you and help you take it up. If you feel stuck, if you've been feeling stuck, then these ideas are going to help you get unstuck and kick it into high gear. If you're already doing your dreams and creating extraordinary success, and you're already an elite performer, these ideas are going to help you take you to what I call the NLWC, the next level of world class. Because as you know, for the elite performer and the master, I mean, we're all on the path of mastery. For the elite performer and the master, there is no top end. There is never a top end. It's not really about the goal. It's not at all about the outward success. It's who you become. But consistently pushing to the edges of your limits. As you know so well, the number one way to increase your capability, to express more and tap into more and get to know more of your potential is to go to your edges. Because when you go to your limits expand. When you go to where your fear lives, your freedom starts to display itself. Okay, so let's get right into it. 6 ideas to help you take it up to the next level. Number 1, set mastery goals versus ego goals. There's been a lot of research done on the nature of goals. Most people, unfortunately, have never, even if they set goals, and most people don't set goals, and even if they write them down, and most people who set goals don't write them down, but even those who write them down are often not aware of the power of the nature of your goals. So there's 2 types of goals. Number 1, what psychologists call get good goals or be good goals. And that's like about, oh, look, world, I'm achieving these goals, so I look better in your eyes. And I call those ego goals. But the masters, the great chefs, the great artists, the great entrepreneurs, the great business builders, the great managers, the great architects, the great authors, the great surfers and sailors, they set mastery goals. It's not so much about, wow, look, world, how great I am. It's not about fame, fortune, and applause. It's about mastery. They set goals around, and those are called getting better goals. So those goals all about you expressing more of your potential, you becoming better at your craft, you developing more acumen, more focus, more persistence, more grit. So goals like, that are designed to please the herd and fit into society don't have the same power as goals based on intrinsic motivation, which is all about, like I say, becoming more masterful, expressing more of your potential, and even changing the world. So you want to get the nature of your goals right. And just to finish up on that first idea about setting mastery goals versus ego goals, the real reason why you want to do this is your goals should be a source of power. Your goals should fuel you. And, if your goals are coming from pleasing the world and they're ego-driven goals, when you bump up against an obstacle, then you're going to give up. They don't provide a lot of motivation. But intrinsic goals provide so much more inspiration, because then you see the process of getting to your mountaintop and your personal Everest as a journey. So when you encounter failure or ridicule or laughter, and all masters suffer more than the average person because they bump up against failure and ridicule, and so they face difficult times, but they push through it because it's really not about an external goal, it's an intrinsic goal, it's about a mastery goal. So the nature of your goals are really important to stay fueled and focused and strong and full of grit, so you get to your mountaintop. Okay, second idea is do hard things. Do hard things. I was just in Switzerland a number of weeks ago in a beautiful ski resort or ski town called Lausanne. And I went to the top of one of these Swiss Alps, and I'd never been up that high before. And my ski instructor was with me, and I said, "We're going up there?" And he said, "Yeah, we're going up there." And when I got to the top, I was frightened. And I don't know if you ski, but I was so scared I went right back into, beginner snowplow position, and I was clinging to the mountain pretty much. And he told me 2 things I want to share with you. Number 1, he said, "Robin, lean into your fear. Lean into your fear." And number 2, he said, "Robin, commit to the mountain." And what he was saying is, by actually leaning into the mountain, leaning into, the scariness and the fear, what would happen is I'd actually get more balance, and it was actually safer, and I'd actually get some edges on my skis. And actually clinging to safety was more dangerous. And the point I'd offer to you is, the seduction of safety is often more dangerous than the perception of uncertainty. And sometimes, or no, not sometimes, if you're making the right goals and the right move, leaning into your fear and committing to that goal is the safest thing you could possibly do. Because otherwise, you get to the last hour of your last day and you say, you know what, I never expressed my potential. I never did anything great. So this second point is really do hard things. The seat of our self-discipline and our willpower has been found to be in a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is pretty cool, the brain can grow. You don't have the brain you were born into. You have the brain that you have developed. And neuroscientists have realized that the brain is very much like a muscle. They call it, this neuroplasticity. And so if you do the right things, you actually can develop more density in your brain, more gray matter, and you can actually build a better brain. And so the part of the brain responsible for willpower is the prefrontal cortex, PFC. And here's what neuroscientists have found. They found that if you develop and strengthen the prefrontal cortex, automatically you're going to have more willpower. And so by doing difficult things, by pushing yourself to your edges, by going to your limits really do expand. And so all masters, all uber ultra performers choose a life that is difficult and challenging versus a life that is comfortable and a life of ease. I mean, your payoff and your rewards and your growth and your mastery and your success lies when you go to the places that scare you, when you do difficult things, when you take the difficult projects on, when you read the difficult books, when you run longer than you've ever run, when you try new things that stretch you. That is how you get more willpower, and that's how you become more muscular, more muscularity in terms of willpower, and that is how you take your mindset, your potential, and your life to a whole new level. So do difficult things, and you also, when you do difficult things, you release a neurotransmitter called dopamine, and dopamine is the motivational chemical, and so literally when you do difficult things, it makes you feel happier. So sort of playing small and playing video games and using your best hours watching television or gossiping, that doesn't release dopamine, doesn't build your brain. It's just a seduction of safety, like me clinging to the mountain. And actually, the safest thing was to lean into my fear and to commit to the mountain. And related to that is that key idea, which is your limits are liars and your fears are thieves. Do not trust them. So many of us, we are caught by the things we are running from. We've got this, to use Joseph Campbell's terms, our stained glass window. So get to know your personal story. Start thinking on paper in your journal or in your quiet moments, or by taking long walks on the beach. Start thinking about your beliefs. Start thinking about, how do I see myself? How do I see my potential? Where did I learn my limits from? Was it my dad, my mother, a school teacher? Is it my peers? I mean, there's so much information coming out from science these days. One of the recent ideas is called goal contagion. Literally, we pick up the goals of the people around us. You've heard me talk about the power that we rise or fall to the level of our conversations. Well, now there's new cutting-edge research coming out called goal contagion. We literally subconsciously, consciously model the goals of the people we spend most of our time with. So the third idea is really get to know your personal story and rewire it, re-script it, start thinking new beliefs. And how do you think new beliefs? You just start thinking new beliefs. You start talking about your new beliefs because your words affect your beliefs. You can get up in the morning and in your journal, write your new beliefs out. And that's how you start the process of installing them. You spend time with people whose beliefs you want to have. And through emotional contagion and attitudinal contagion, you start picking up their beliefs. You start cleaning up your environment and your beliefs start changing. I'm going to talk about your environment in a few minutes. So point number 3, think about your personal story, because how you see your potential determines your daily behavior and your performance. If it's not working for you, amp up your personal story, rewire your beliefs. Well, our big adventure continues. I'm here in Firenze, Florence, Italy, and I'm standing right next to Brunelleschi's famed Duomo. This was an architectural marvel, or an idea he came up with that no one believed was possible. And I'm really here because I want to make the point on this third point, which is every visionary was first ridiculed before they were revered.
All right, that's all. Stopped halfway through. All right, cool. So, man, that was powerful stuff. He gave us 3 of them. And the last one for you guys was every visionary was first ridiculed before they were revered. All right, awesome. Powerful stuff, man. I hope you guys could have saw the video. I tried to share it. He was on the beach. It was beautiful. It was inspiring me. So let's get Roxy's shares first. Roxy, what'd you get?
So I jumped on when he was talking about our actions, and he talked about how 90% of our actions are unconscious. So that means that your subconscious rules the majority of your actions, but you don't really know it because we're unconscious to it. So the key to that is to start becoming more conscious through starting to observe your pattern of thought, starting to observe your actions, starting to observe your emotions when certain things occur on your day-to-day life in order to start bringing more awareness into those spaces. And the more awareness that you get, the more conscious that you grow. So I thought that was really powerful. And then he talked about when you go to your limits expand. He talked about going against the things that scare you, going against the things that you fear, because once you start doing that, you start exercising this muscle inside of you to start going against the things that you once thought were not possible or not capable of doing. But once you break through a barrier or any kind of limiting belief or anything that you may be afraid of, and I'm sure all of us have done it at one point or another in our lives. It feels so good after you do something, and then you're like, it wasn't really that bad, you know? So definitely see what are the things that limit you now, and definitely encourage you to start breaking through those limits. And once you do that, you'll start reaching a whole new way of being and a bunch of new limits. And then this one was one of my favorites, where he talked about setting goals and setting mastery goals. That actually reminded me of Tony Robbins, because Tony Robbins talked about immersing yourself in things in order for you to become a master at things. It's great to set goals, but he said goals get you good. You know, they make you, okay, like you get a little good, and sometimes it could be just external. But when you set mastery goals, is to really see what is your potential inside of what you said that you would achieve, or what you said that you would get better at. So I thought that was super powerful, because instead of setting just small goals, like what areas in your life do you want to master? You know, whether it's like your eating habits, your physical habits, your growth habits, like whatever it is, like if you learn how to master that, Tony talked about that the more that you master things, the more successful you become. But you can't master 3 things at one time. You know, a surfer, I'm pretty sure when he's out surfing, he's not trying to do 3 things at one time. He's first trying to master one thing, and then once he's mastered it, he goes on to the next and to the next and to the next. So that was really, really amazing. And then he talked about do hard things and lean into your fears and commit. He's like, you have to commit to the mountain. What he talked about whenever he was out skiing, his instructor told him, like, you have to lean into it. The more that you lean into the fear, the more safe you will be. So whatever fears may arise in your life, like start leaning into them. The more that you do that, the more that you start breaking through them. So that was amazing. And he said the seduction of safety is sometimes more dangerous than going into the fears and things like that. You know, so many times I've heard of people just get so comfortable with the job and the security and the safety of a job, but at any given moment you do something wrong and you could be let go in an instant. Like you can just like leave in an instant. Why? Because we're constantly replaceable whenever we're working for someone. But once you start bringing value to the marketplace and you begin to be your own boss, nobody could ever replace you. So I thought that was super powerful. And then the last one, he talked about how the brain is like a muscle. He said if you develop your frontal part of your brain, your willpower will begin to expand. And your brain is just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the more willpower you'll start to gain through that, and the more things that you'll begin to do. But if you don't exercise it, if we're just playing video games and doing things that don't really serve our purpose, like watching the television, doesn't require you to think. It doesn't require you to do anything with your brain. You're just there intaking all this stuff and just being programmed by society. But if you start practicing, like reading, if you start doing certain things, you begin to grow your muscle. Just like you grow your biceps, grow your brain. So I thought that was really powerful. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Aubrey so we can have other people share.
Nice. Grow your biceps like you grow your brain. I like that one. That was a good saying. All right. Great stuff. I really like Robin Sharma. I love this video because he's on the beach. And the beach was like light turquoise blue. So inspiring. So a couple big takeaways for me. Roxy hit on a lot of great ones. One thing that really resonated with me, he said in the beginning, genius is 10% talent, 90% discipline. You know, he named some top-level people, a J.K. Rowling, a Mozart, you know, all these people that, you know, have achieved mastery in their fields, and you didn't see the 10 years that it took them to build up. He said Mozart was practicing for 10 years before he did anything that could be considered of a mastery level. So it's not like they were born and they were just masters. It took time to cultivate. He said, practice anything long enough with focus, you'll become world class. It just takes time and effort and consistent focused practice. So I really like that. He said, for the elite performer, there's no top end. When you get to your outer limits, your limits expand. So it's always about reaching more levels. So it's always about expansion if you want to become world class. I love the mastery goals versus ego goals. The get good goals, or, you know, hey, look at me goals versus the intrinsically motivated goals to see what you can become, to see your potential and your possibility, and to leave a positive mark on the world with your intrinsic. I really like those. Do hard things. You know, there's some things that in the hardness you learn that the easiness can't teach you. He said the seduction of safety. You know, I really liked his metaphor. He said, you know, you can get to the end of your life and live it safe, and then you'll find out you really didn't test your limits. You didn't really see what you were capable of. I love Les Brown. He said, you know, in this life, you might as well try for it because none of us get out of here alive. And once I heard that, I was like, dang, that's so true. None of us get out of here alive. You're going to die anyway. Why not see what you're made of while you're here inside of this body living this lifetime? You're not going to be able to take anything with you. You know, you're not going to be able to leave anything on the table. It's all going to be left. So you might as well try it while you're here. I really love that. Playing small doesn't build you up. The seduction of safety doesn't build you up. Your limits are liars and your fears are thieves. Because if you live inside of these limits because you think they're real, you can get to a point in your life where you'll look back. And I was listening to another Les Brown tape. He said, if you could think about your life, do we all have things we want to grow into? And he said, yeah. And he said, if you had your life to live over again, do you think there was more that you could have done? And now, whatever age you're at right now, if you could take that mindset into the end of your life, when you do pass from this body, how do you want to look back? Do you want to look back and have regrets on the things you didn't do? Or do you want to look back and say, hey, I did that, I did this and this, and that worked, that didn't, that worked. Better to have done it and it not work than to have never done it at all, to never have tested your fears, to never have stretched yourself and sought your potential. So I really love that mindset. And then this was such a key one, and this is why I love our Herbalife community. He said, goal contagion. He said, subconsciously, we model the goals of those around us. Have you ever gotten around people that were just playing at another level in life, and you were like, man, these people on another level, I got to step my game up. I've gotten around that, and it's changed my life. But also, reversely and inversely, I've been around people where I wasn't achieving, and I justified it by looking at those people around me because, you know, they weren't necessarily stretching or growing. And I kept saying, well, I'm good because they're not doing it, or I'm good because they didn't do it, or I'm good because of this and that. And I was justifying my non-growth by the non-growth of those around me. And that's another way. It's very, very dangerous to do that, because if we're contrast creatures, which means is, you know, the slowest turtle and the fastest turtle both think they're fast compared to the slow turtle, but they're a turtle compared to a cheetah. You know, they're not even moving basically. But you only think of those around you. So you could see the fastest turtle, and the fastest turtle thinks he's the fastest dude in the world. And that is some people that are living in these circles where nobody's really stretching themselves. They're like, well, I'm at least not at the bottom. And that's how they justify it. I was once that person. I was like, well, you know, I'm looking at them and I'm looking at him and I'm looking at her. Well, they're not growing. I'm at least doing a little bit better than them. And I justified it. And then I got to the point one day I was like, Aubrey, are you going to justify your life by always looking at those around you? Or are you going to start looking inside and say, hey, what are you capable of? Not looking at anybody else. What do you know you're capable of? What do you know you're capable of as far as effort-wise? I'm not even talking about outcome. Outcome comes later. I'm talking about effort-wise. Are you putting in the effort that you're capable of? If you are, then awesome. If you're not, then you can change it. And I said, hey, I'm not putting in the effort. I know I'm capable of more. I know I have more potential than I've shown to this point. And I'm not going to base my not showing and my not putting in effort just because those around me necessarily aren't putting in effort. That's not a good enough reason, you know, because when you get to the end and you look back on your life, it's not going to be, you know, looking back on it with 5 other people. You're going to get to look back on just your life. And that's really the cool thing about it. And then the last thing he talked about was so true. He said, first, every visionary is first ridiculed, and then later they're revered. Some people inside of our history were threatened with death because they were talking about things that were so new. Like, imagine back when Copernicus and Galileo were like, hey, you guys, the earth isn't the center of the universe. Hey, you guys, the planet isn't flat. They were threatened with death. Hey, we're going to kill you if you don't stop talking like this. And now if you go into science class, it's like, of course, you know, the sun is the center of our galaxy. And, you know, they had to be threatened with death. What are you being threatened with? Maybe not death, but maybe like ostracized, or maybe you're not, you know, a part of the norm because you're thinking of things that right now aren't normal, but one day will be. I believe one day, soon, everybody will be considered an entrepreneur. Like the pensions and the retirement plans and all that stuff that used to be, that was an experiment. That's not normal. One day soon, everybody's going to have to intentionally govern their own career. It's already happening on many levels. People jump from job to job, company to company, building their own retirement, building their own funds. That's the way it's going to be. Most people in the future are going to be independent contractors, where people are just going to pay you and you have to take care of your benefits. You have to take care of retirement. That's what an entrepreneur is. And one time, entrepreneurs like, yo, you're crazy. You're not going to work for this pension. And one day soon, it'll be like, that's all there is. And people will be like, wait, there was a time when it wasn't like this, that you didn't take your future into your own hands, that you didn't rely on a company to decide your future. Like, look at the people at Enron. If you were one of the people at Enron that let that happen, your retirement's gone. And now what are they going to say? They're going to turn around and say to you, sorry? You know, I'm sorry you got to lose your house. Like that, you got to realize things are going to change, not just because of the group thing. Don't go with that. Go with thinking independently inside of your head. So many great nuggets. I know a lot of you guys are at work. Is anybody excited to share? You can come off mute and share. Let's get it. I know a lot of you guys are at work. So what we're going to do is we're going to post this on YouTube, upload it, repost the video, tag your friends and family, invite them every Monday to be on the call. We're on Zoom now. We're going to be getting our mindset better and better every week, stretching our limits. You know, we don't take a week off. We're going into the fourth quarter stronger than ever. So that 2016 is amazing, ridiculous, awesome. You guys have a great Monday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Put your takeaways on your Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to hear them. You guys have a great one. Peace.